Hello everyone, welcome back to Rikorea's channel, and this video is the second part of editing cool tone on macro photos. So if you haven't checked the first part of this video, make sure to check it out. I have put the link on the description below. Okay, so before we have done adjusting the overall tone of this image, but as I have said before, in this tutorial I will show you how to edit specifically on the background. So take a look at the tool strip and find the radial filter. Here we are gonna add some points to edit specific portions of this image. First, let's a point here on the upper right because the light is coming from that area. Don't forget to take the invert because we have to make sure that the affected area is inside the oval shape. Do you remember our initial purpose before editing this image? Yep, we want to transform our flat background into a cool tone background. So the first thing we must do is decreasing the temperature. Then bring up the exposure, also the highlights, and whites. By doing this, we can increase the audience awareness of where the light's coming from. Then we can also decrease the clarity and the haze to make the light blend naturally with the image. Last, I will decrease the saturation just a little bit. Okay, done. But do you think just making one radial filter is enough? Think logically. If there is a light, there will be a shadow. What we just did is increasing the light from the upper right area. That means our object, the mantis, should also be brightened. Why? Because if we only increase the light on that area and leave the rest of the photo untouched, people will notice that the light we added to the photo didn't blend naturally with the object or the background of our image. And therefore, we should create another point. Let's click on the previous point. Then right-click on your mouse. Press duplicate. And there will be 2 points now. Move it just right beside the first point. And double-click on the effect to reset our new point. First, let's change the darker area on this image by choosing the right range mask, which is Luminance. Drag the slider to the left area. So the affected area would only be the area that is very dark. And what we got to do is make this area darker because the brighter the light, the darker the shadow. Bring down the exposure. Shadow to -16. Also drag the slider on the black to the left side. Decrease the clarity so we can also minimize the noise. And the last, bring down the noise to -60. After that, now it's time for the brighter area to be brightened. We will once again duplicate this point and double click on the effect. Don't forget to also move this point just beside the previous point. And here we are gonna do the opposite from our previous filter. First, choose the range mask, Luminance. Then for this time, we move the left slider to the right. Then we will increase the exposure level. But for the whites, I'm gonna decrease it because the mantis look overexposed. Bring up the clarity to +17. And last but not the least, we can also increase the sharpness so that both the object and the raindrop will look sharper. Okay, so after we made this 3 radial filter, do you think it is enough? Well, the answer is our image does look more stunning, but we still have something that we got to do. Think logically. If we increase the light intensity on the upper left area, why does the upper right area doesn't get brighter? Because of our previous work, we have to make another adjustment. Add a point here. What we gotta do is actually the same with the first radial filter, but we have to decrease the amount of the effect. First, change the exposure to 0.22 and bring up the whites to 40. And drag the dehaze slider to the left. Also make sure that you have a check mark for the invert. And the last point is optional. You can also make a radial filter specifically on our object eyes to draw your audience eyes towards the object. Just make sure that you didn't overdone it. Okay, so it has been a quite long editing journey, and right now we have entered the last step of this video tutorial, which is changing the background tone without having to affect the overall image. So the tool we are gonna use is the graduated filter. First, let's make a point in the center of our image. Then rotate it so it becomes a diagonal that intersects the lower left corner to the upper right corner. Then adjust the range mask so it won't affect our object. After we're done adjusting the mask, scroll up to the effect panel and change the temperature to the left side so the cool tone will begin to pop up. And for the tint, drag the slider to the right side. We can also do the basic adjustment according to our preferences. Now let's duplicate this filter and rotate it so the affected area will be the one that is under the light. Keep the range mask as the previous one, and we can change the effect because on the lower area it is darker and the color isn't as rich as the brighter area. And to complete our editing session, we are going to add another filter to make a vignette that is more natural than the usual vignette. First, in the lower left side of our image, don't forget to use the range mask and adjust it. After that, you can do some adjustment like what you usually do when you intended to darken your image. Duplicate the filter and rotate it to darken the lower right corner of this photo. After that, change some of the adjustment because the light comes from the upper left corner, which means the area we're gonna edit right now won't be as dark as the one that we have just edited. So we have done the editing process, and now let's take a look at the before and after version of this image. First, you will notice that the tone of this image completely changed. Then the bokeh also gets sharpened and more pop up on the after version. Third, the after version really shows the separation of the highlights and shadow, which makes it more dramatic. So I really hope that this tutorial can help you to learn new editing skills, upgrade the quality of your image, and also get to know more about macro photography. If you haven't visited my Instagram, you can check it out, Rico_Reyes for my macro photography and Discoveryco for travel photography. If you have any suggestion regarding my upcoming video, please leave it down on the comment below. Give a thumbs up if you like this video, and also consider to subscribe if you would like to see my upcoming videos. Thanks for watching, I will see you on the next video. Bye.